I'm Chelsea, 34 years old, and a single mom to my beautiful 5-year-old daughter, Lily, who I've raised since she was 3 days old. Nothing prepared me for the moment my parents suggested my sister Amanda should take my daughter away from me. The words still echo in my mind. You're not her real mother anyway. How could the people who raised me not see that the love between a mother and child transcends blood? I never imagined I'd have to fight my own family to keep my daughter. Before I share my story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. If you've ever felt betrayed by the people who should love you most, hit that subscribe button. This story might help you feel less alone in your journey. Growing up in our suburban home outside Boston, I always knew my place in the family hierarchy. My sister Amanda, 2 years younger than me, was the golden child who could do no wrong. With her natural charm and outgoing personality, she easily became the center of attention at every family gathering. Meanwhile, I was the responsible one, the steady one, the one who followed rules and tried desperately to earn the approval that came so naturally to my sister. Chelsea, why can't you be more like your sister? Became the unofficial soundtrack of my childhood. When Amanda brought home B- grades, my parents celebrated her effort. When I brought home straight A's, it was simply expected. When Amanda won second place in a local singing competition, my parents threw a party. When I was accepted into nursing school with a partial scholarship, they nodded and said, "That's nice." I learned early that no matter what I achieved, it would never measure up to Amanda's mediocrity. Over time, I stopped looking for their approval and focused on building my own life. I threw myself into my studies, graduated at the top of my nursing class, and secured a position as a pediatric nurse at Boston Children's Hospital. My career brought me immense satisfaction. Working with children filled a void in my heart that had been growing since I learned at 25 that getting pregnant would be difficult for me due to endometriosis and polycystic ovary syndrome. While my doctors didn't say it was impossible, they made it clear that natural conception would be challenging and carrying to term even more so. At first, this news devastated me. I had always imagined myself as a mother. I dated seriously through my 20s, hoping to find someone who would build a family with me. Two serious relationships fell apart when the topic of alternative paths to parenthood arose. My boyfriend at 27 told me flatly he wanted his own kids, as if an adopted child would somehow be less than. My partner at 29 suggested we could just be the cool aunt and uncle to his sister's kids instead. By the time I turned 30, I had a comfortable 2-bedroom apartment, a stable career with good benefits, and enough savings to consider a path I had been contemplating for some time: adoption as a single mother. The decision wasn't made lightly. I spent months researching agencies, attending information sessions, and speaking with other single adoptive parents. I underwent thorough financial evaluations, home studies, and psychological assessments. The process was invasive and exhausting, but each step brought me closer to my dream of motherhood. The waiting period was the hardest part. After being approved, I created a profile that birth parents could view. Months passed with no matches. I began to wonder if my single status was deterring potential birth parents. Just as I was losing hope, I received a call about a pregnant 16-year-old named Maria who had selected my profile. Meeting Maria was surreal. This brave teenager carried herself with a dignity beyond her years. She explained that she wanted to finish high school and eventually go to college, which she couldn't do while raising a child. She liked that I was a pediatric nurse and that I lived in a diverse neighborhood with good schools. Most importantly, she appreciated my openness to maintaining contact, so her child would always know their origin story. When Lily was born, I was there at the hospital. The moment the nurse placed this tiny 7-pound bundle in my arms, my heart expanded in ways I never thought possible. With her wispy dark hair and alert eyes, she wasn't my biological child, but in that instant, she became my daughter in every way that matters. The first year was beautiful chaos. Midnight feedings, first smiles, the endless laundry, the indescribable joy of watching her discover her toes. I documented everything, creating a memory book that included photos of Maria, so that Lily would always know her birth mother's face. My friends threw me a welcome baby party and formed a support network that proved invaluable during those early sleep-deprived months. My parents' reaction to my adoption announcement had been lukewarm at best. "Are you sure you want to raise someone else's child?" my mother Patricia had asked with a frown. My father Thomas had practical concerns. "Do you really think you can afford this on your own?" But when they met Lily for the first time, I hoped they would fall in love with her just as I had. They were polite but distant. They held her briefly, commenting on how quiet she was, then handed her back quickly. Amanda, on the other hand, cooed and fussed over her new niece, pronouncing her absolutely perfect and meant to be part of our family. At the time, I was grateful for her enthusiasm, never imagining how it would transform into something troubling. Maria and I maintained an open adoption arrangement. She received photos monthly, and we arranged video calls twice a year. She was doing well, graduated high school, and started community college. I was committed to honesty with Lily about her adoption from the beginning, using age-appropriate language and children's books about adoption to help her understand her story. "You grew in Maria's tummy, but you grew in my heart," I would tell her. "Both of us love you very much." By the time Lily was 4, she could proudly tell people she was adopted, though she didn't fully grasp what that meant yet. I knew more complex conversations would come as she got older, but I was prepared to navigate them with love and transparency. What I wasn't prepared for was how my own family would use my daughter's adoption against me, questioning my legitimacy as Lily's mother, and setting in motion events that would threaten the secure world I had built for us. To understand how things fell apart, you need to understand my family dynamic. My father Thomas built a successful construction business through relentless work and an intimidating personality. He expected perfection and made no secret of his disappointment when you fell short. My mother Patricia, a former elementary school teacher, quit her job when Amanda was born to become a full-time homemaker. She channeled all her educational expertise into developing Amanda's talents, while leaving me to largely fend for myself academically. Our family roles were established early and remained rigid throughout our lives. Amanda was the star, the beauty, the talent. I was the responsible one, the caretaker, the perpetual understudy. When Amanda needed help with homework, I was expected to tutor her. When she forgot her lunch, I was expected to share mine. When she got in trouble, I was asked why I hadn't prevented it. "Your sister looks up to you," my mother would say, making her problems my responsibility. Meanwhile, Amanda learned she could get away with almost anything by turning on the waterworks or flashing her dimpled smile. The favoritism continued into adulthood. When I graduated with my nursing degree, my parents gave me a card with a $100 gift certificate. When Amanda graduated with her marketing degree a few years later, they surprised her with a new car. When I put a down payment on my apartment, I did it alone. When Amanda wanted to buy her first home, my parents contributed to the down payment. Despite these disparities, I maintained a relationship with my family. I showed up for holidays, remembered birthdays, and called my parents weekly. I did this partly out of ingrained obligation. But after Lily came into my life, I did it because I believed having extended family was important for her. I wanted her to have grandparents and aunt cousins, even if my own relationship with them was complicated. Amanda married James, a successful financial advisor, when she was 28. They had the lavish wedding my parents had always envisioned, complete with 6 bridesmaids in matching gowns and a honeymoon in Bali. On the surface, their life looked picture perfect: a beautiful colonial home in an exclusive suburb, luxury cars in the driveway, exotic vacations documented extensively on social media. But beneath the polished exterior, things weren't so perfect. 2 years into their marriage, Amanda and James began trying for a baby. When nothing happened naturally, they consulted fertility specialists. Amanda never shared the specific diagnosis with me, but I gathered from her vague comments and my mother's whispers that there were significant issues on both sides. They began expensive fertility treatments that repeatedly failed. As Amanda's fertility struggles continued, her interest in Lily intensified in ways that made me uncomfortable. It started innocuously enough, with overly generous gifts for Lily's birthdays and holidays: a dollhouse too large for our apartment, a designer outfit that Lily would outgrow in months. Then came the possessive language: "There's my little princess," and "Come to Mommy Amanda." Each time I would gently correct her: "You mean Auntie Amanda," and she would laugh it off as a silly slip. Family gatherings became increasingly strained. My parents doted on their other grandchildren, my cousin's kids, in ways they never did with Lily. They would forget her food preferences, but remember everyone else's. They would take group photos and position Lily at the edge as if she could be cropped out later. Small things perhaps, but noticeable to me. When I mentioned these slights, my mother would say, "You're being too sensitive. We treat all our grandchildren the same." Amanda's behavior at Lily's 4th birthday party particularly alarmed me. I had organized a small celebration at a local park with a few friends from Lily's preschool. Amanda arrived with an enormous wrapped gift, a child-sized electric car that cost more than my monthly rent. When Lily excitedly opened it, Amanda announced to everyone present, "Look what your favorite auntie got you, isn't she the best?" She then proceeded to monopolize Lily's time directing the games cutting the cake before I could positioning herself in all the photos. When I tried to step in, Amanda hissed under her breath, "Let me have this moment, Chelsea. It's not like I'll ever get to throw birthday parties for my own kids." The raw pain in her voice stopped me, and I backed off, though the encounter left me deeply unsettled. Despite these warning signs, I dismissed my growing concerns as paranoia. Amanda was struggling with infertility. Of course, she would attach herself to Lily. My parents had always favored her. Of course, that dynamic would continue with the next generation. I told myself these behaviors were hurtful, but not threatening, never imagining how quickly things would escalate. The trouble began in earnest when I was offered a promotion at the hospital. The new role as nurse manager came with better pay and benefits, but also required longer hours temporarily while I trained and established my team. The position would ultimately give me more stable hours and fewer weekend shifts, making it ideal for a single parent, but the transition period would be challenging. When my parents heard about my promotion, they immediately offered to help with childcare. "We can pick Lily up from preschool on the days you work late," my mother suggested. "She can have dinner with us and you can collect her afterward." The offer seemed generous, a rare instance of my parents stepping up to support me. Grateful and somewhat surprised, I accepted. For the first few weeks, the arrangement worked smoothly. Lily enjoyed the extra grandparent time, and I felt relieved having family support during this career transition. But gradually, subtle changes in Lily's behavior gave me pause. She began asking confusing questions. "Grandma says real families have a mommy and a daddy. Why don't I have a daddy?" And Auntie Amanda said she would be a better mommy because she has a big house. "Are you still my mommy?" Each time I would reassure her of our bond and gently correct these concerning messages, trying to balance respect for my family with protection of my daughter's sense of security. One evening when I arrived to pick up Lily, I overheard a phone conversation between my mother and Amanda. "She's still at work," my mother said in a hushed voice. "Yes, she's here now. I know it's not fair to the child. We'll talk more about the plan tomorrow." When I entered the room, my mother hurriedly ended the call, her face flushing with obvious guilt. "Who was that?" I asked, though I already knew. "Oh, just Amanda checking in," she replied, avoiding eye contact. "You know how she adores Lily." I confronted my mother about the comments Lily had repeated, trying to keep my tone neutral. "Mom, Lily's been saying some confusing things about families and mommies. Have you or Amanda been discussing these topics with her?" My mother dismissed my concerns with a wave of her hand. "Children misinterpret things, Chelsea. We're simply answering her questions about why her situation is different. She's a curious child." "Her situation isn't different," I said firmly. "Many families look different from each other. The important thing is that Lily knows I'm her mother, period." "Of course, dear," my mother replied, but her tone lacked conviction. As the weeks passed, I noticed Amanda's presence during Lily's visits with my parents became increasingly common. "I just happened to stop by," she would explain with a shrug when I arrived to find her there. Several times she had already bathed Lily and dressed her in pajamas I didn't recognize. "I picked these up when I was shopping. Aren't they adorable?" Amanda would say, deflecting my discomfort with her signature smile. One afternoon, while looking for Lily's missing hair clip in my parents' guest room, I discovered a drawer full of clothes and Lily's size tag still attached. In another drawer, I found a photo album. Flipping through it, my blood ran cold. There were dozens of photos of Amanda and James with Lily posed like a family portrait. In some, Lily wore outfits I'd never seen. The final pages held pictures of the three of them at a playground near Amanda's house, a location they had never mentioned taking her to. When I confronted my mother about the photos, she became defensive. "Amanda just wanted some nice pictures with her niece. What's the harm?" "The harm is, you're taking Lily places without my knowledge or permission," I replied, struggling to keep my voice steady. "And these photos, Mom, they look like family portraits, not aunt and niece pictures." "You're overreacting," my mother said, her tone hardening. "Amanda is family. She loves Lily." "I'm her mother," I stated firmly. "I need to know where my daughter is at all times and who she's with." The tension escalated when Lily came home one evening wearing a gold bracelet I hadn't seen before. When I asked where it came from, she said, "Auntie Amanda gave it to me. She said it's because I'm like her daughter too." The bracelet had "My Little Princess" engraved on it and was clearly expensive. Certainly not an appropriate gift for a 5-year-old. My anxiety mounting, I called my best friend Taylor that night after Lily was asleep. Taylor had been my rock since college days, the person who had supported my adoption journey from the beginning. Unlike others who questioned my choice to adopt as a single woman, Taylor had helped me paint Lily's nursery and had been there the day I brought her home. "Something doesn't feel right, Tay," I confessed, detailing the concerning patterns I'd noticed. "Trust your instincts," Taylor urged. "You're not being paranoid. These are serious boundary violations. Your sister is acting like she's co-acquiring your child." "But what am I supposed to do? They're helping me with childcare while I get established in this new position. I can't just cut them off." "Can you afford alternative childcare, even temporarily?" Taylor asked. I ran the numbers in my head. It would be tight, but possible. "I could talk to the after-school program at Lily's preschool. It runs until 6. "Do it," Taylor advised, "and document everything. Save texts, take pictures of these gifts, write down these conversations, just in case." "In case of what?" I asked, though a part of me already knew the answer. "In case they're planning something more than just boundary-stomping, Chels. I hate to say it, but this sounds like they're setting something up." I laughed nervously. "You think my sister wants to steal my daughter? That's crazy." Taylor's voice was gentle but serious. "Is it, from what you've told me about your family dynamic, about Amanda's fertility issues, about these increasingly bizarre behaviors? Just be careful, okay?" That night, I barely slept, Taylor's warning echoing in my mind. The next morning, I called Lily's preschool and arranged for her to join the extended day program effective immediately. I texted my mother that I'd made alternative childcare arrangements and wouldn't need their help for the foreseeable future. Her response was telling, "Amanda will be so disappointed." Not, "We'll miss Lily," or "Let us know if you need us again." Just concern for Amanda's feelings. The red flags were waving frantically now, and I could no longer ignore them. 3 weeks after I changed Lily's childcare arrangements, my mother called to invite us to Sunday dinner. "It's been too long since we've seen Lily," she said, emphasizing my daughter's name rather than saying she'd missed me. "Your father is grilling his famous ribs. Amanda and James will be there too." I hesitated, but decided this controlled environment might be a good way to reestablish boundaries. "We'll be there," I agreed, "but we'll need to leave by 7 for Lily's bedtime routine." That Sunday, we arrived at my parents' suburban home to find Amanda's car already in the driveway. Inside, the dining room table was set with my mother's best china, a level of formality unusual for a family dinner. Amanda and James were already seated in the living room, dressed more elegantly than the occasion warranted. Amanda rushed to Lily immediately. "There's my favorite girl in the whole world," she exclaimed, enveloping my daughter in a tight hug that lasted uncomfortably long. I noticed Lily stiffen slightly, a reaction that simultaneously concerned and reassured me. My daughter's instincts were picking up on something off about this excessive affection. Dinner was a tense affair beneath a veneer of forced pleasantry. My father dominated the conversation with talk of his business. My mother kept filling Lily's plate with second helpings, despite my reminders about appropriate portions. Amanda repeatedly referred to inside jokes with Lily from "when you stayed with us," though, to my knowledge, Lily had never spent the night at Amanda's house. After dessert, my father suggested Lily might want to see the new bird feeder in the backyard. My mother quickly offered to take her out to watch the cardinals. The orchestrated nature of this suggestion immediately put me on alert. As soon as Lily was out of earshot, the atmosphere in the dining room shifted. My father cleared his throat, a signal he was about to make an executive pronouncement. "Chelsea, we want to discuss something important with you. About Lily." I felt my chest tighten. "What about Lily?" Amanda reached for James's hand, an unnecessarily theatrical gesture. "We know you've been struggling with your new position. The long hours, the stress." "I'm managing just fine," I interjected, already not liking where this was heading. "Of course you are," my father said dismissively. "But we've been talking, and we think we have a solution that would benefit everyone, especially Lily." Amanda leaned forward eagerly. "James and I want to take Lily temporarily, just until you're settled in your new role. We have plenty of space, that beautiful bedroom that's just sitting empty, and I can adjust my work schedule to be home with her." I stared at them in disbelief. "Take her? What exactly do you mean?" "It makes perfect sense," my mother chimed in from the doorway, having silently returned without Lily, who I could see through the window, still watching birds with my father. "Amanda and James have a beautiful home in a better school district. They have the financial resources to give Lily everything she needs. And most importantly, they can provide her with a traditional family structure, a mother and a father." I'm her mother, I said, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. She has a home and she's thriving in her current school. Amanda's eyes narrowed slightly, her mask of concern slipping. Chelsea, be reasonable. You live in a cramped apartment, you work long hours. You're doing your best, but is your best really enough for Lily? My apartment has 2 bedrooms and is in a diverse neighborhood with parks and libraries within walking distance, I countered. My new position will ultimately give me more stable hours than my previous one, and Lily is happy, well-adjusted, and secure. My father's authoritative voice cut through the tension. The fact remains, Chelsea, you're not her real mother anyway. It's not like you'd be losing your own child. The words hit me like a physical blow. I actually gasped, feeling as if all the oxygen had been sucked from the room. Thomas, my mother exclaimed, not in defense of me, but apparently shocked he'd stated so baldly what they had all been thinking. Well, it's true, isn't it? My father continued undeterred. Blood is thicker than water. If the child is going to be raised by someone other than her biological parents, shouldn't it be within our family Amanda is her blood aunt? I'm not her biological aunt either, Amanda said, her voice saccharine. But James and I feel a special connection to her. And since we can't have children of our own, her voice trailed off dramatically, eyes welling with practiced tears. So that's what this is about, I said, the pieces finally clicking into horrible place. You can't have a baby, so you want to take mine. We're thinking of what's best for Lily, my mother insisted. Children need stability, a mother and father in the home. Don't you dare question my ability to provide stability, I said, struggling to keep my voice down so Lily wouldn't hear. I've been her mother since she was 3 days old. I'm the one who's been there for every fever, every nightmare, every milestone. The adoption is final and legal. She is my daughter in every way that matters. Legal paperwork doesn't create a real mother, my father dismissed. Amanda has a natural maternal instinct. We've all seen how Lily responds to her. Amanda nodded, emboldened by our father's support. The bond between us is undeniable, Chelsea. Maybe it's time to admit that sometimes biology wins out. She feels like my daughter. James and I can provide her with siblings someday when the fertility treatments finally work. The calculated cruelty of their words stunned me. All the years of being second best to Amanda, of working twice as hard for half the recognition, crystallized in this moment of ultimate betrayal. They weren't just attacking my parenting, they were attempting to erase my motherhood entirely. This discussion is over, I said, standing up so abruptly my chair scraped loudly against the floor. Lily is my daughter, mine, not yours, Amanda. The fact that you would even suggest this shows how little you understand about what being a mother actually means. Don't be so dramatic, my mother sighed. We're offering to help you. Help me, I laughed bitterly. By taking my child. That's not help, that's kidnapping. Now you're being ridiculous, my father scoffed. We're family. We're looking out for Lily's best interests. Her best interest is to remain with her mother, me, in the home she's known all her life, I stated firmly. This conversation is inappropriate and honestly disturbing. I'm leaving now with my daughter. I walked to the back door and called for Lily, working to keep my voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through my body. When she came running, I helped her gather her things with shaking hands. Why are we leaving so early? Lily asked, confused by the abrupt departure. We need to get home for your bedtime, sweetie, I managed to reply. As we headed for the front door, Amanda blocked our path. Think about what we're offering Chelsea. You could visit her whenever you want. You'd still be in her life. The audacity of her statement left me speechless. I simply pushed past her, holding Lily's hand tightly. This isn't over, my father called after us. You're being selfish, Chelsea. Think about what's best for the child. I buckled Lily into her car seat and drove away. My vision blurred by unshed tears. My phone began buzzing with text messages almost immediately. You're overreacting. Come back so we can discuss this rationally. My mother. You know I'd take good care of her. Better than you can. Amanda. Your stubbornness has always been your worst quality. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. My father. I turned my phone off and focused on getting us home safely, fighting the rising panic threatening to overwhelm me. After tucking Lily into bed that night, reading her favorite story twice, to ensure she felt secure, despite our abrupt departure from my parents' house, I finally allowed myself to fall apart. Sitting on my bathroom floor with the shower running to mask my sobs, I experienced the most intense panic attack of my life. My chest constricted painfully, my breath coming in gasping hiccups, my entire body trembling with fear and rage. How could my own family suggest taking my child from me? How could they so casually dismiss the bond I'd built with Lily over 5 years of motherhood? The depth of the betrayal was staggering. These were the people who should have supported me unconditionally, who should have celebrated the family I had created, who should have recognized the love between Lily and me as sacred. When the worst of the panic subsided, I called Taylor, who arrived at my apartment 20 minutes later with a bottle of wine and fierce determination in her eyes. "Tell me everything," she demanded, and I recounted the horrifying dinner conversation in detail. "Oh my God, Chels," she breathed when I finished. "This is worse than I imagined. They actually think they have some right to Lily." "What if they try to take her?" I whispered, voicing my deepest fear. "What if they convince some judge that a married couple is better than a single mom?" "That's not how adoption works," Taylor reassured me. "You're her legal mother. The adoption is finalized. They have absolutely no standing." I wasn't so sure. "My father knows people. He has connections and resources. What if they find some technicality? What if they claim I'm an unfit mother because I work long hours?" Taylor's expression shifted from concern to alarm as a new thought occurred to her. Have they been in touch with Lily's birth mother? Could they be trying to connect with Maria to build some kind of case? The question sent a fresh wave of panic through me. I hadn't considered that angle, but it was frighteningly plausible. "I don't know, I don't think so. Maria and I have a good relationship. She would tell me if they contacted her, wouldn't she?" "Probably, but you should reach out to her anyway, just to be safe." I nodded, adding this to my mental list of urgent actions. "I need to find a lawyer, a good one who specializes in adoption law." "First thing tomorrow," Taylor agreed. "Tonight, you need to document everything that happened while it's fresh in your mind. Write down exactly what everyone said as close to verbatim as possible." I spent hours that night typing out a detailed account of the dinner conversation and all the concerning incidents leading up to it. The possessive language, the unauthorized outings, the inappropriate gifts, the subtle undermining of my parental authority. Seeing it all laid out chronologically was chilling. This wasn't a sudden impulse on Amanda's part. This had been a calculated campaign. The next morning, after dropping Lily at preschool with explicit instructions that only I was authorized to pick her up, I made an emergency appointment with Diane Lewis, an adoption attorney recommended by one of the nurses I worked with. Her office, located in a converted brownstone in downtown Boston, was warm and reassuring, with photos of diverse families covering the walls. Diane listened intently as I shared my situation, taking detailed notes and asking clarifying questions. Her calm professionalism helped steady my frayed nerves. "Based on what you've told me, your family has absolutely no legal grounds to seek custody of your daughter," she assured me. "The adoption is finalized. You are Lily's legal mother in every way. The fact that you're single is irrelevant in the eyes of the law." I felt my shoulders relax slightly for the first time in 24 hours. Even if they try to claim I'm unfit because of my work schedule, many parents work full-time, some with much more demanding schedules than yours. As long as you've arranged appropriate childcare, which you have, that's not grounds for questioning your fitness as a parent," Diane explained. However, she continued, her expression growing more serious. "Based on the behaviors you've described, I'm concerned your sister and parents might not be deterred by legal facts. People who feel entitled to someone else's child can sometimes take desperate actions." My stomach clenched at her words. What should I do? "First, we're going to send a cease and desist letter to your family, making it crystal clear that any attempt to undermine your parental rights will be met with immediate legal action," Diane said. "Second, I want you to implement some additional safeguards." The safeguards Diane recommended were extensive: changing Lily's preschool if possible, or at minimum updating her authorized pickup list to remove my family members, installing security cameras at my apartment, keeping Lily's passport and important documents in a secure location, informing Lily's pediatrician and school about the situation, and documenting all communications from my family going forward. "It may seem excessive," Diane acknowledged, "but it's better to be overprepared. Most family members back down when faced with a strong legal response, but not always." Before I left her office, Diane asked the question I'd been dreading. "Is there anything in your personal history they might use against you? Any past issues with substance abuse, mental health crises, legal troubles?" "No, nothing like that," I assured her. "What about Lily's birth mother?" Is there any possibility your sister has contacted her or might try to? I shared my conversation with Taylor. I'm going to call Maria today. We have a good relationship. She's always been supportive of me as Lily's mom. Excellent. An affidavit from the birth mother supporting your parental rights would be helpful if things escalate, Diane noted. As I implemented these protective measures over the next few days, my parents intensified their efforts to contact me. My mother left tearful voicemails claiming I was tearing the family apart. My father's messages grew increasingly stern, insisting I was being childish and irresponsible by cutting them off from their granddaughter. Amanda texted daily with manipulative messages alternating between guilt trips and thinly veiled threats. Lily asked about me yesterday, didn't she? She misses her Auntie Amanda. You're hurting Lily by keeping her from people who love her. We could provide so much more for her than you can alone. Think about her future, not your pride. The most disturbing development came a week after the dinner when I received a text from an unfamiliar number. It was from Kimberly, a mother of one of Lily's classmates, whom I knew only casually from preschool pickups. Your sister came by my house yesterday asking questions about you and Lily. She said she was concerned about Lily's well-being. Is everything okay? Cold fear washed over me. Amanda was gathering information, possibly building a case against me. I thanked Kimberly for the alert and immediately called Diane. 2 days later, my fears were confirmed when my parents showed up unannounced at our apartment building. I was thankful we were out at the time, but our neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, informed me they had tried to use a spare key to enter our apartment, claiming they needed to pick up something for their granddaughter. Mrs. Rodriguez, bless her, had refused to let them in without my permission. That night, I had to have one of the most difficult conversations of my life with Lily. Sweetie, we need to talk about something important. I began sitting beside her on her bed, surrounded by her favorite stuffed animals. You know how we've been seeing Grandma and Grandpa and Auntie Amanda less lately? Lily nodded, her small face serious. Well, they've been saying some confusing things, and until they can stop doing that, we're going to take a break from seeing them. What kind of confusing things? Lily asked. I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. They've been saying things that might make you wonder who your mommy is. And I want to make sure you know that I am your mommy forever and always. Lily's brow furrowed. But Auntie Amanda said she wants to be my mommy too. The confirmation of my worst fears from my daughter's innocent lips sent a chill through me. Auntie Amanda loves you very much, but she's confused. You only have one mommy, and that's me. You have a birth mommy, Maria, who grew you in her tummy and made the loving choice for us to be together. And you have me, who has been your mommy since you were a tiny baby. But Grandpa said you're not my real mommy, Lily said, her voice small. He said real mommies have babies in their tummies. I swallowed hard against the lump in my throat. There are many ways to become a mommy, Lily. Some mommies grow babies in their tummies. Some mommies like me grow babies in their hearts. But all real mommies love their children and take care of them every day. That's what makes a real mommy, the love and the care, not how the baby came to them. I held her close, breathing in the sweet scent of her shampoo. I'm your real mommy. I've been there for every skinned knee, every nightmare, every happy day and sad day. Nothing can ever change that. Lily nodded against my shoulder. I don't want to go live with Auntie Amanda, she whispered. The words shattered what remained of my heart. You won't, sweetheart. You won't ever have to, I promise. That promise felt harder to keep when 3 days later I received a certified letter from Harrison and Phillips, a prestigious law firm representing my parents. The letter alleged concerns about Lily's well-being under my care, citing my erratic work schedule and unstable living arrangements, and demanded we participate in family mediation to discuss a more suitable living situation for the minor child. The paper trembled in my hands as I read the thinly veiled threat. They were actually doing it. They were trying to take my daughter. The following weeks were the most challenging of my life. The legal threat from my family cast a shadow over everything, making even mundane daily tasks feel precarious. I forwarded the letter to Diane, who responded with righteous indignation and swift action, sending a strongly worded response that outlined the legal realities of my adoption of Lily, and warning of countersuit for harassment if they persisted. But legal reassurances couldn't entirely calm my fears. I knew my father's relentlessness, my mother's enablement of Amanda's every whim, and my sister's desperate desire for a child of her own. They had resources and social connections I couldn't match. What they didn't have was legal standing, but that might not stop them from trying to wear me down or find some loophole. The financial strain of hiring Diane was significant. Her retainer depleted most of my savings funds I had been setting aside for Lily's education. I picked up extra shifts when possible, leaving Lily with Taylor or other trusted friends. Rather than using the preschool's after-hours program, afraid that my parents might attempt to collect her, despite the updated pickup authorization list. Support came from unexpected places. When I explained the situation to my supervisor at work, she adjusted my schedule to accommodate more predictable hours, eliminating one potential criticism of my parenting. My neighbors in our apartment building formed an informal security network, alerting me when any unfamiliar people asked about us, and keeping an eye on our door when we were home. Lily's preschool teacher, Ms. Simmons, pulled me aside one afternoon. "I want you to know we're all on high alert," she assured me. "Your daughter is clearly happy, well-adjusted, and deeply attached to you. Anyone who spends 5 minutes with the two of you can see what a loving bond you have." Her words provided comfort during a time when my confidence as a mother was under constant attack. The barrage of manipulative messages from my family continued, now interspersed with communications from their lawyer. Each one questioned some aspect of my parenting or Lily's well-being, from concerns about her limited living space to worries about her lack of male role models. The court appointed a guardian ad litem, Janet Kwan, to evaluate our home situation and determine what was in Lily's best interest. While Diane assured me this was standard procedure and would ultimately work in our favor, the invasion of privacy felt like another violation. Janet interviewed me extensively about my parenting philosophy, observed Lily and me together, inspected our apartment, and reviewed Lily's medical and school records. The most heartbreaking part of this process was watching Lily struggle with the tension and uncertainty. Though I tried to shield her from the legal aspects, she was perceptive enough to sense something was wrong. She became clingy, having nightmares, and wetting the bed for the first time since potty training. She asked repeatedly if she would have to go live with Auntie Amanda, despite my constant reassurances. On Diane's recommendation, I arranged for Lily to see a child psychologist, Dr. Martinez, who specialized in helping children through family conflicts. After their third session, Dr. Martinez asked to speak with me privately. "Lily is experiencing significant anxiety," she explained gently. "She's absorbed more of the conflict than you might realize. She told me her grandpa says you're not her real mommy, and that her aunt cries because she wants Lily to be her little girl instead." Hearing those words, I felt a surge of protective rage. They've been saying these things directly to her. That's emotional abuse. Dr. Martinez nodded gravely. "It's certainly harmful and confusing for a child her age, but Lily also told me something important. She said, 'My mommy is my real mommy because she takes care of me and loves me all the time, not just when other people are looking.'" Those are her exact words. Tears sprang to my eyes. Even at 5 years old, my daughter understood what my family could not or would not see. "She's a remarkably resilient child," Dr. Martinez continued, "and that speaks to the secure attachment you've fostered. Keep doing what you're doing, maintain her routines, and continue to reassure her that she's staying with you." I was also seeing a therapist myself at Diane's insistence. Dr. Rachel Kim helped me navigate not just the current crisis, but the long-standing family dynamics that had led to it. Through our sessions, I began to understand how the patterns established in my childhood, the constant positioning of Amanda as the golden child, and me as the responsible but overlooked one, had created the perfect conditions for this conflict. "You've spent your life trying to earn your parents' approval," Dr. Kim observed during one particularly emotional session. "But their approval has always been conditional on you accepting a subordinate role to your sister. Now, for the first time, you're refusing to yield to her wishes. This isn't just about Lily, though she's central to it. It's about you finally saying no to the family dynamic that's been hurting you since childhood." Her words resonated deeply, giving me a framework to understand why this battle felt so fundamental. It wasn't just about protecting my daughter, though that was paramount. It was also about claiming my own worth as a mother, and a person separate from my family's distorted perception of me. The toll of this constant stress manifested physically. I lost weight, developed insomnia, and fought frequent headaches. My colleagues noticed offering to cover shifts when I looked particularly exhausted. Taylor practically moved in with us on weekends, providing both practical support and emotional ballast when I felt like I was drowning. 6 weeks into this ordeal, I experienced a particularly difficult day. Janet Kwan had interviewed my parents and sister, and though she couldn't share specifics, her expression when we spoke afterward suggested their version of events had been persuasive. That same day, Lily came home from preschool in tears because Amanda had shown up at pickup time, lingering outside the building until a teacher noticed and asked her to leave. "She said I have to go live with her soon," Lily sobbed. "She said you're going to be too busy with your job and I'll be all alone, but she can be with me all the time." That evening, after finally getting Lily to sleep, I sat at my kitchen table surrounded by legal documents, medical records, and preschool reports, all gathered to prove what should have been self-evident, that I was a good mother who deserved to keep her child. The absurdity and injustice of having to defend my motherhood against people who should have supported it overwhelmed me. But in that moment of despair came clarity. I remembered Lily's words to Dr. Martinez. "My mommy is my real mommy because she takes care of me and loves me all the time, not just when other people are looking." My 5-year-old daughter saw the truth that my family couldn't. I was Lily's real mother. Not because legal documents said so, though they did. Not because I met some external standard of what a mother should be, but because I showed up for her day after day through fevers and nightmares and skinned knees and achievements. I loved her completely without conditions or expectations. I put her needs before my own, protected her fiercely, and nurtured not just her physical well-being, but her sense of security and self-worth. That realization gave me renewed determination. I wouldn't just defend my right to be Lily's mother. I would fight with everything I had for our family. I spent the next several hours organizing all the documentation into a compelling narrative of our life together, highlighting Lily's development, our strong attachment, and the stability of our home. I included photos of our daily routines, notes from her teachers about her social adjustment, and records of my consistent involvement in her medical care and education. I emailed the comprehensive file to Diane with a note: "This is who we are. This is what they were trying to destroy. I won't let them." Diane's response came quickly. "This is exactly what we needed. The hearing is in 3 days. Be ready to fight for your daughter. I'll be right beside you." As I finally went to bed that night, exhausted but resolved, I checked on Lily. She slept peacefully, clutching the stuffed bunny she'd had since infancy. Looking at her small face in repose, I made a silent promise. No matter what happened in that courtroom, no one would ever take her from me. We were a family bound by love stronger than blood, and we would remain together. The day of the court hearing arrived with a heavy downpour that matched my turbulent emotions. I dressed carefully in a conservative navy blue dress, wanting to project the image of the stable, responsible mother I knew myself to be. Taylor came early to help with Lily, who would stay with her during the proceedings. "You look strong," Taylor said, adjusting my collar. "Remember, you are her mother in every way that matters. No judge with any sense can deny that." I knelt to say goodbye to Lily, who clung to me with unusual intensity, sensing the importance of the day. "I'll be back soon, sweetheart," I promised, holding her tight. "Taylor's going to take you to the Children's Museum and then for ice cream. How does that sound?" Lily nodded against my shoulder. "Are you going to see the judge today? The one who says I stay with you?" Even after all our careful conversations, she still carried this fear. "Yes, but it's just a formality," I assured her with more confidence than I felt. "Remember what I told you. You're my daughter forever and always. Nothing can change that." "Forever and always," she repeated our special affirmation. The courthouse was imposing, all marble columns and echoing hallways. Diane met me at the entrance, looking impeccable in a charcoal suit, her briefcase bulging with our documentation. "Janet Kwan filed her report yesterday," she informed me in a low voice as we walked. "It's entirely in our favor. She found no merit whatsoever in your family's concerns, and specifically noted the inappropriate comments they've made to Lily." Relief flooded through me. "So this should be straightforward then." "In theory, yes, but your father has influence in this city, and they've hired Bernard Matthews, who has a reputation for aggressive family law tactics. Be prepared for things to get ugly. They may attack your character, your parenting, your lifestyle. Remember, don't react emotionally. Let me handle the legal responses." In the courtroom, I saw my family for the first time in nearly 2 months. My father sat ramrod straight in an expensive suit, his expression stony. My mother looked pale and drawn, but her jaw was set in familiar stubbornness. Amanda and James sat close together. Amanda's eyes red-rimmed from crying or lack of sleep. When she saw me, she gave a cold smile that chilled me to the bone. This wasn't my little sister anymore, but a stranger determined to take what was mine. Judge Eleanor Washington, a black woman in her 60s with silver-framed glasses and an air of no-nonsense efficiency, called the court to order. This is an unusual case, she began reviewing the papers before her. I've read the petitions, the guardian ad litem's report, and the various affidavits. Before we proceed with formal arguments, I want to be clear about what we're doing here today. She looked directly at my parents and sister. The respondent, Chelsea, is the legal and permanent mother of the minor child Lily through a properly executed finalized adoption. The petitioners, who are the maternal grandparents and aunt of the adoptive mother, have filed for custody based on claims of parental unfitness. Is that correct, Mr. Matthews? Bernard Matthews, my family's attorney, stood. Yes, Your Honor, with a slight clarification. The petitioners are concerned about the well-being of the child in a single-parent household, with limited resources and support, particularly given the respondent's demanding work schedule. As blood relatives of the child's adoptive mother, they believe they can provide a more stable two-parent home environment. Judge Washington's eyebrows raised slightly. Mr. Matthews, are your clients aware that being a single parent is not grounds for removal of a child, and that blood relatives of the adoptive mother have no special standing in this case? Matthews cleared his throat. Your Honor, my clients believe they have established a significant relationship with the child, and that her best interests would be served in their care. I see, Judge Washington said, her tone suggesting she saw through the flimsy legal argument. She turned to Diane. Ms. Lewis, your response. Diane stood confidently. Your Honor, this case represents an unprecedented attempt by extended family members to circumvent established adoption law. My client has been Lily's legal mother since the child was 3 days old. The adoption was properly executed and finalized. There is no evidence whatsoever of parental unfitness. She proceeded to outline our case methodically, presenting the guardian ad litem's report statements from Lily's teachers and pediatrician and documentation of our stable home life. She then addressed the more troubling aspects of my family's behavior. Furthermore, Your Honor, the petitioners have engaged in a pattern of undermining my client's parental authority and causing confusion for the child. They have repeatedly told the 5-year-old that my client is not her real mother, have taken her on outings without permission, and have made explicit statements to the child about her coming to live with them instead. Martinez, Lily's therapist, has documented the anxiety these comments have caused. As Diane spoke, I watched my family's reactions. My father's face darkened with anger. My mother looked down at her hands. Amanda whispered frantically to Matthews, who tried to quiet her. When it was Matthews' turn to present, he focused on Amanda and James's resources, their large home financial stability, and Amanda's intention to be a stay-at-home mother. He emphasized the traditional family structure they could provide, and implied that my work schedule left Lily without proper supervision, despite all evidence to the contrary. Most disturbingly, he attempted to use the very nature of adoption against me. While Ms. Chelsea has been a caretaker for the child, the fact remains that Lily is not her biological child. The petitioners simply wish to provide Lily with the stability of a two-parent household with greater resources. Judge Washington interrupted him. Mr. Matthews, I'm troubled by your characterization of an adoptive mother as a caretaker. Under the law, an adoptive parent has exactly the same rights and responsibilities as a biological parent. There is no legal distinction whatsoever. Of course, Your Honor, Matthews backpedaled. I merely meant to suggest that the child's best interest might be served in a different environment. The judge's expression remained stern. Based on what evidence, the guardian ad litem's report finds no issues with the child's current home environment. In fact, it specifically notes the strong attachment between mother and child and expresses concern about the petitioner's behavior toward both. Matthews tried another angle, suggesting that my hostility toward my family was depriving Lily of important relationships. Judge Washington saw through this as well. Mr. Matthews, the respondent, limited contact after the petitioners explicitly told her child they intended to take her away from her mother. That seems like a reasonable protective measure, not hostility. After both sides presented their cases, Judge Washington called a brief recess to review all materials. Those 20 minutes were among the longest of my life. I sat silently beside Diane, avoiding eye contact with my family across the room. When the judge returned, her expression was resolute. Having reviewed all evidence and arguments, I'm prepared to rule. This case represents a troubling attempt to circumvent established family law and adoption principles. The petitioners have presented no valid legal grounds for removing a child from her fit and loving parent. She looked directly at my parents and sister. Let me be absolutely clear. Adoption creates a permanent parent-child relationship that is equal in every way to a biological one. The law does not recognize any distinction between adoptive and biological parenthood. Ms. Chelsea is Lily's mother legally and in every other sense that matters. Relief washed over me in waves as she continued. Furthermore, I find the petitioner's actions toward both Ms. Chelsea and the minor child deeply concerning. Telling a 5-year-old child that her mother is not her real mother is emotionally harmful and demonstrates poor judgment that calls into question the petitioner's ability to act in the child's best interest. Her ruling was unequivocal. The petition was denied in its entirety. Additionally, she granted a 6-month restraining order, preventing my family from contacting Lily or me without permission, with any future visitation to be supervised and contingent on their participation in family therapy. The court will not tolerate attempts to undermine a parent-child relationship or to confuse a young child about her family structure. If the petitioners wish to have a relationship with their granddaughter and niece, they must first demonstrate an understanding of and respect for Ms. Chelsea's role as Lily's mother. As the judge finished speaking, Amanda let out a strangled sob. "This isn't fair. We could give her so much more, a real family." Her composure crumbled completely, revealing the desperation beneath. "I deserve to be a mother too." "Ms. Amanda," Judge Washington said firmly, "parenthood is not about what you deserve. It's about what a child needs, and what Lily needs is the stable, loving home she already has with her mother." My father stood abruptly, his face flushed with anger, and led my sobbing sister and ashen-faced mother from the courtroom without a backward glance. In the quiet aftermath, Diane squeezed my hand. "It's over, Chelsea. You won. Lily stays with you where she belongs." The victory felt simultaneously triumphant and hollow. I had protected my daughter, but at the cost of any relationship with my family of origin. Though they had betrayed me profoundly, a part of me still mourned what might have been the supportive extended family Lily deserved to have. But as I left the courthouse to collect my daughter, stepping into the now clearing skies, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The fight had been worth it. Lily and I would build our future together, strengthened by the knowledge that our bond had withstood its greatest test. I found Taylor and Lily at the Children's Museum Cafe, my daughter's face brightening instantly when she saw me. She ran to me and I lifted her into a fierce hug, breathing in her familiar scent. "Forever and always," she whispered in my ear. "Forever and always." I promised, knowing now more than ever the truth of those words. The months following the court ruling were a time of healing and rebuilding for Lily and me. While the legal victory had secured our family, the emotional aftermath required careful navigation. We both attended therapy, Lily continuing with Dr. Martinez and me with Dr. Kim, working through the trauma of nearly having our family torn apart by the people who should have supported us most. One of the first decisions I made was to move us to a new neighborhood still within Boston, but far enough from our old apartment to feel like a fresh start. I found a slightly larger 2-bedroom in Jamaica Plain, a diverse community with excellent schools and parks. The moving process became a symbolic shedding of old pain, with each carefully packed box representing our deliberate choice to carry forward only what served our well-being. "I like our new home, Mommy," Lily declared as she helped arrange her stuffed animals on her new bed. "It feels peaceful." Her simple observation touched me deeply. Children have an intuitive understanding of emotional atmospheres, and Lily had clearly sensed the anxiety that had permeated our old apartment during the custody battle. Building a chosen family became my priority. Taylor, always our rock, helped us settle in and introduced us to her friends in the neighborhood. My coworkers who had supported me throughout the ordeal organized a housewarming party that filled our new space with laughter and goodwill. My neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, surprised us by moving to a building just 2 blocks away, continuing her role as Lily's honorary grandmother with weekly cookie baking sessions. I reached out to Maria, Lily's birth mother, who had provided a powerful affidavit supporting my parental rights during the legal proceedings. She had been horrified by my family's attempt to use adoption against me and reaffirmed her confidence in my parenting. Now 19 and in her 2nd year of community college, she accepted my invitation to visit our new home. "I made the right choice," she told me quietly. as we watched Lily showing her a school art project. "You're the mother she needs." Her validation meant more than she could know. We agreed to more regular visits, recognizing that strengthening Lily's connection to her birth mother would help cement her sense of identity and security, especially after the confusion my family had tried to create about what made a real mother. The restraining order gave us 6 months without any contact from my parents or Amanda. While sometimes I felt twinges of sadness about the family rift, mostly I felt relief. The distance allowed me to process a lifetime of being treated as less than of having my achievements diminished and my needs overlooked. In therapy, I explored not just the recent betrayal, but the long-standing patterns that had made it possible. "You're mourning the family you deserve to have, not the one you actually had," Dr. Kim observed during one session. "The parents who should have protected you tried to take your child. The sister who should have supported your motherhood tried to replace you. That's not love, Chelsea. That's ownership." Her words helped me reframe my understanding of family. Love wasn't about possession or control. It wasn't about who deserved what. True love was about respecting boundaries, supporting growth, and putting someone else's well-being before your own desires, precisely what I strived to do as Lily's mother, and what my family had failed to do for me. Professionally, I continued to thrive in my nurse manager position, having weathered the transition period that my family had tried to use against me. With my new schedule, I was actually able to be more consistently present for Lily's school events and activities. We established treasured rituals: Saturday morning pancake breakfasts, Sunday afternoon nature walks bedtime, reading that often extended longer than planned because we were both enjoying the story too much to stop. 5 months after the court ruling, I received a letter from my mother. Unlike the manipulative messages from before, this one had a different tone. "I've been seeing a therapist," she wrote. "She's helping me understand how our family dynamics have been harmful, particularly to you. I'm not asking for forgiveness yet. I know I haven't earned it. But I want you to know I'm trying to understand where things went wrong. Amanda is getting help too. What we did was inexcusable. If you ever decide you're open to a conversation, even just between you and me, I would be grateful for the chance." I shared the letter with Dr. Kim, unsure how to respond, or whether to respond at all. "This is a small step, but an important one," she noted. "Your mother is acknowledging harm without making excuses. That's significant. You don't need to decide anything right now. Take your time." I did take my time, eventually responding with a brief note, acknowledging her effort, but making no promises about future contact. Forgiveness. I was learning was a process I needed to undertake for my own healing, regardless of whether reconciliation ever became possible. As for Amanda, I heard through mutual acquaintances that she and James had entered intensive couples therapy after her courtroom breakdown. Her desperate attempt to claim my child had forced her to confront her unhealthy obsession with motherhood and the void she had been trying to fill. Part of me could empathize with her pain, while still maintaining the boundary that protected Lily and me from further harm. By the 1-year anniversary of the court decision, Lily and I had established a new normal. The nightmares and bedwetting had stopped. She was thriving in kindergarten, making friends easily, and showing an aptitude for both art and mathematics. Her therapist reported that Lily spoke of the conflict with increasing emotional distance, a sign she was processing and healing. One warm spring afternoon, we planted a garden in the small yard behind our apartment building, the landlord having given enthusiastic permission when I offered to beautify the neglected space. As Lily and I dug in the soil together, planting tomato seedlings and flower bulbs, I was struck by the metaphor of our actions. "You know what we're doing, Lilybug?" I asked, helping her pat soil around a tiny plant. "Making a garden," she replied, her small face serious with concentration. "Yes, but we're doing something else too. We're putting down roots. This garden is like our family, you and me. We're growing something beautiful together." Lily considered this in that thoughtful way she had. "Can Taylor help with our garden? And Maria too? And Mrs. Rodriguez?" I smiled at her understanding. "Absolutely. Families come in all shapes and sizes. Ours might be smaller than some and bigger than others in different ways. What matters is that we choose people who respect and love each other." "And we're each other's real family," Lily stated with confidence. "Forever and always. Forever and always." I echoed, watching as she carefully watered her seedling, nurturing it, just as I had nurtured her. In that peaceful moment with spring sunlight warming us and the promise of growth all around, I felt profound gratitude. The path to this place had been painful, but it had led us to a deeper understanding of what family truly means. Not shared DNA or legal documents, though those have their place. Not appearances or social expectations, but love freely given and received, boundaries respected and maintained, support offered without conditions. My daughter had taught me as much as I had taught her. Through her eyes, I had learned to recognize my own worth as a mother and a person. Through protecting her, I had finally learned to protect myself from those who would diminish me. Through loving her unconditionally, I had learned what love should feel like. As we finished our planting and stepped back to admire our work, Lily slipped her soil-covered hand into mine. "I'm glad you're my mommy," she said simply. "I'm glad you're my daughter," I replied, my heart full. The garden we planted that day flourished throughout the summer and beyond, much like the family we continued to build, not through blood or obligation, but through choice and love. A family of our own making stronger for having been tested, growing more beautiful with each passing season. I hope my story resonates with some of you out there who may be fighting your own battles for family belonging or simply the right to be recognized for who you truly are. Remember that what makes a family real isn't DNA or traditional structures, but the depth of love and commitment you share. If you found something meaningful in my journey, please subscribe to hear more stories of overcoming family challenges. Have you ever had to stand up for your family against those who should have supported you? Share your experiences in the comments below. Thank you for listening, and remember, you're not alone in your struggles.